As an Africana studies scholar and historian with methodological training in the fields of economics, political science, and sociology, my research seamlessly connects the trends and tensions of African American historical studies through interdisciplinary approaches. For scholars who study race, class, gender, and sexuality, and other social constructs where marginalization and discrimination have reared their ugly head, it is necessary to be trained with an interdisciplinary lens. My methods of analysis, like my research, is interdisciplinary combined with strong theoretical frameworks through qualitative and quantitative methods. However, my primary methodological approach is qualitative, where my strengths in archival research, ethnography, and oral historical interviewing amplifies the often missed experiences of Black people. To do this effectively, I chart the relationship of reciprocity between Africa and the Americas to detail how African-descended people throughout the African diaspora function as a collective despite diverse national identities. History is a weapon. Studied and interpreted wisely, it can help defend, inspire, protect, and unify. If history is ignored, forgotten, or misconstrued, it can be a part of the miseducation of a people that will have them going to the back door without being told to do so. Of all our studies, history is so very important, not only because it is a vital means to the cognition of and solution to many of the problems that beset us, but because it is the heart and soul of liberation itself. A major aspect in my development as a scholar activist in history is steeped in public history, avenues in which history can be of service and listens to the precise needs of Black communities and challenges these communities to broaden their own senses of boundaries and exclusiveness. Perhaps public history and service is more of a spirit that sees historical scholarship as part of a larger scope that includes academic and non-academic entities, as well as various components of the public at large. My interest as a scholar, activist, and servant is guided by a commitment to the preservation and dissemination of Black heritage, history, and culture in particular, and the African diasporic heritages and histories in general. As a servant to history, I strive to construct a context where the public has the opportunity to produce critical knowledges that consequently enable them to become critical citizens. I organize my service so that it provides the public with the opportunity to challenge, explore, and construct relationships between the personal experiences, community experiences, and public policy. In this, the world is our classroom, and the classroom is our world. My first book, titled The Legend of the Black Mecca: Politics and Class in the Making of Modern Atlanta, introduced the concept of the Black New South, which provides a new framework for interpreting Black Southern history in a post-1965 era. Underlying this concept is the observation that with the end of legalized segregation in the years leading up to and immediately after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the South was redefining itself as a favorable place for cultivating Black prosperity and promise. However, out of this cauldron of possibility, a new threat crystallized between the 1970s and 1990s through a small group of Black regime manipulated and controlled by capitalism. This new Black enterprising class left Black people disempowered and impoverished, even as a privileged few capitalized on opportunities for development and influence in the post-segregation, post-Voting Rights Act urban landscape. As I explore in The Legend of the Black Mecca, what ensued was the Olympification of Atlanta, which ultimately criminalized, demonized, and displaced many poor Black and homeless people in Atlanta. Over the course of its sweeping exploration of the intersections of politics and class, as Black electoral power reshaped the face of Atlanta, The Legend of the Black Mecca unearths new complexities in Black politics and social life and explores the intersection of politics and class during one of the most tumultuous periods in Atlanta's history. The demise of industrialization and the rise of the information age left Atlanta's Black working classes and poor drowning in unemployment. Reaganomics eviscerated Atlanta's black communities on issues of education and fair housing, while the emergence of crack cocaine, produced by a war on drugs, a war on black and brown people, and diverted funds from education to this cause. Thus, the prison industrial complex and the militarization of the police reached new heights. Examples of this include turf wars between the Miami Boys and the Atlanta Players over crack cocaine and the subsequent creation of the Red Dog Police. The arrival of AIDS crippled black communities where Atlanta's black populations garnered some of the highest rates of HIV/AIDS in the world. Thus, Atlanta's Olympic movement, disguised as progress steeped in Dr. King's dream on steroids, was seen as a movement to further criminalize, demonize, disfranchise, and displace Atlanta's black indigenous at record levels. One cannot help but to contemplate how Dr. King would respond to the public's angst toward the city's black administration and Atlanta's black masses during these episodes, and one of these includes housing. Many of our students are unhoused or identify as homeless. The affordability of housing in Atlanta has affected them in multiple ways. I spend countless hours in diversifying the academy. In this capacity, I've tried to create a series of programs in partnership with faculty and the university that demystifies knowledge and makes it more accessible to the masses. Moreover, I encourage students on how to assert themselves and their voices through the academy, and I continue to encourage them to use classroom platforms as a think tank to solve problems right before us. I've made significant contributions to media via the digital humanities, an area of scholarly activity at the intersection of computing and digital technologies and disciplines in the humanities. Here, the systematic use of digital resources in the humanities, as well as the analysis of their application, present new ways of doing scholarship that involves collaborative, transdisciplinary, and computationally engaged research, teaching, and publishing through the field of African American history and Africana studies.